What is up, YouTube? We are back with the Q&As. Took a little break, but like I said, we're back. So, like I was doing them before, whenever we do them, we're just going to post a Q&A on Instagram, and I'm just going to read them straight off of the question prompt. So, if you want to get your question answered, shoot me a follow on Instagram. Keep an eye on the story. We'll post the prompt. Looking to do these at least once a week, once every 10 days tops, but they were requested a lot, and people seemed to like them when we were doing them. So, without further ado, we're gonna hop right back into them. First question: advice for a natty guy starting his first prep. So, a couple things, and these are both first preps for anyone, and then first preps for natural athletes in specific. Being a natural athlete in specific, I would give yourself way more time than you think you need. Being natural, you're not going to be able to really push and dig down and really strip off body fat at an accelerated rate while protecting your muscle tissue. And your goal, regardless whether you're natural or enhanced, should always be throughout prep to get as lean as possible while preserving as much muscle tissue. You're going to lose a little bit of muscle in prep, but you can do it without losing, 10 pounds of muscle. So keep that in mind. Start with enough time. The second thing is being natural. Your recovery is going to be the biggest factor when it comes to getting lean for a prep. If you run yourself ragged in the gym and you're doing a ton of cardio and you're not eating a lot, your body will not hold up to that. So that goes back to, just taking your time, being able to allow yourself, 20, maybe even 24 weeks instead of your typical 14 or 16, like you hear people talking about for bodybuilding preps. The second thing is, and this is kind of funny, but it's very true, and this is for people doing their first show, natural or enhanced. Don't get discouraged by it, but you are probably not as big as you think you are. Whenever you really actually get lean for your show, you will not be happy with the size that you are. I know I wasn't. I felt like I looked like a string bean. And that'll never change, but you will put stage weight on and you will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So don't get discouraged if you weren't happy with the look you had on stage for the very first time ever. Next question. Do you ever measure your body fat or lean muscle ever? I have over the years. Um, Not so I can like brag, oh, I have 3% body fat, because if you're in shape, like truly in shape for bodybuilding, you should just be skin everywhere. You'll be like ones and twos everywhere. So you should be, skin lean according to a caliper test. I don't really feel like that's accurate. You DEXA scan yourself. Even people that are known to like be like dying on stage, they're so conditioned, would probably DEXA scan at like 5 or 6%, honestly, because you have interstitial fat, you have fat around your organs, yada 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 yada. What I do find it for a useful tool is, especially in the earlier weeks of prep, is it's another measurement tool for your progress. Especially if you pick your three highest fat areas. For me, it's my ass, my kidney, and then my abdominal area. And I'll just keep an eye on those skin folds, because I go through prep and watch them go down and down and down and down. And if I take them and they're not really traveling down, we know we need to change something. So it's just a nice another little instrument panel to have, if you will. Do you believe whitefish tightens the skin? Um, no, I don't believe there's something special about whitefish that tightens your skin. I do believe that whitefish is completely fat free, and it's typically employed in a time where people are trying to get fat free. So it's typically associated with being super peeled and lean. I have, eaten fish. I have eaten chicken. I don't see a difference. That being said, I will say fish digests really, really, really well. So that's something to think about as you get farther into prep, because whenever you start eating like nothing and your stomach's turned inside and dust, anything you can do to keep your digestion going really well, you want to do. So fish could shine for that part. Next up, what's the hardest part of being a father? Um, Hardest part of being a father. I feel like the hardest part for me personally is balancing my time when I'm in contest prep. In the off season, I feel like I do a pretty good job of balancing the juggling act well, but in contest prep, I really have to be aware of the fact that my energy levels are down. That I am not normal happy-go-lucky dad. So that's what I struggle with the most in bodybuilding in general, is just how my relationships, just kind of suffer in contest prep. So yeah. Next up. This is a good one. If a pitbull doesn't get attention at least every 30 seconds, what happens? The answer to that question is simple. No one knows because there's never been a pitbull that doesn't need attention every 30 seconds. Love my dogs. Anyways, next up, what would you tell yourself when you're pushing through an injury? If you were a bodybuilder, there is no reason on God's gentle green earth to be pushing through an injury. Pushing through an injury is how you make a minor injury a major injury, or how you make a minor injury last like 5 times as long as it would have if you haven't. The only way that I could see you quote unquote training through an injury is if you're within 4 or 5 weeks from a show and you are pretty much there in terms of body fat level and you're able to still do cardio. Like maybe you can get around like a minor strain in an extremity or something. But as far as muscle tears go, as far as ligament tears go, strains, this, that, and another, in a bodybuilding setting, there is absolutely zero reason to push through them. There's not. All right, next one. Best footwear for legs and tips on leg day. Please, huge fan. I told you I'm reading these just straight up. Sorry about that. Best footwear for leg day. I'm gonna say something that is very, very flat and very, very stable. For the longest time, I trained in Vans. I absolutely love Vans. For most people, for me, as I've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, my foot's gotten fatter and fatter and fatter, and they're not wide enough for me anymore. So for the last probably year and a half, I've been training in and pretty much wearing exclusively barefoot shoes. I've tried them from Vivo, I've tried them from Zero, and most recently TYR. They all make great options, so if that's something that interests you, explore it. But the biggest things for me on leg day is stability. So make sure you have something that's stable with a solid sole or no sole. Just train in your socks. Okay. Thoughts on creatine dosage per day. So creatine is an awesome supplement. Creatine is one of those tried and true, been around for forever, and key point, has a ton of clinical research behind it. It is very safe. It is very effective, and all of the studies that have been done on it typically are done on a 5 gram dose. Reason being is creatine is something that actually saturates in your muscles. So once you reach that point of saturation, it's literally just like pouring water in a cup that's already full. Like it's just not going to take any more water, no matter how much you pour in there. So once you get that 5 grams like daily for I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks, I forget what the study says, you'll reach a point of saturation. Reaching that point of saturation is going to give you increases in strength. It's going to give you increase in muscle mass, and it's going to increase the hydration in your muscles, all of which are good things. What is your current training split? So currently, and this is something new for me, I'm training 4 days a week on a modified push pull split. So the modified push pull isn't something new for me. Been training like that for a long time now. What is new for me is the amount of rest that I'm taking. So currently training push pull, taking a day off, training arms, training legs, and then taking 2 days off after legs. It was a little hard to do at first, but it's one of those things, trust the process, as they always say. I feel so much better having that extra day in terms of recovering, and my progress in the gym is actually sped up. I'm growing quicker, and I feel better. So, if you haven't tried training 4 days a week, or at least giving yourself more rest days, if you're training 7 days a week, stop. But try giving yourself a little bit more rest, and it could do a lot of good for you. Okay. What are your current carbohydrate sources? I am currently only eating two carb sources. I say eating, I'm only eating one, and that is jasmine rice. The other carb source right now that we have in is highly branched cyclic dextrin, and I'm doing that intra and post workout right now. So between those two things, those are the only two carb sources I'm eating right now. Talked about it early in the year, was dealing with some gut issues that I've since remedied, but part of remedying them was following a low FODMAP diet, and I am sticking to that for the time being. So, yeah. Have you noticed your arms respond better to a dedicated arm day each week? Yes, absolutely. Just brass tacks of it, training, your biceps after you train back, or your triceps after you train shoulders or chest. They are going to be taxed and not in like a direct way. So you're not able to maximally load them as much as you would, if they have their own day. Case in point, is putting numbers to an example. that cuff triceps extension exercise that I do. If I do that on push day after I train, chest and shoulders, my top set I might be able to move the 90 pin selectorized setting for like 8 to 10 reps. Currently, we're at 110 for, between 11 and 13 on the actual arm day. So it does make a big difference in the amount of load you're able to place on the muscle. And at the end of the day, that's the biggest driver, one of the biggest drivers of growth is, placing as much load as you can on the muscle while still using, perfect form to accomplish the reps. So at least that's how I think about it. What's your plan for this Mr. O? My plan for this year's Mr. O is to qualify for it first. So, yeah, not one of those people to count their chickens before they hatch. Open bodybuilding is very competitive, and I need to qualify first. So, focusing on qualifying first. How to bring up a lagging body part due to surgery and not training it for 3 months. So, this one's in my wheelhouse for sure. I've had this arm. I broke this arm in high school and was like this for 3 months, and then had shoulder surgery on this arm and was like this for 3 months. So the biggest thing in terms of equalizing sides, in my opinion, is not overdoing it while still giving it extra work. So what does that look like in an actual setting? Like for me, I was trying to bring my shoulders and arms back up. So on my laterals, I would do an extra working set just for that side. Same thing with biceps, same thing with triceps. I would do a single extra working set for it, and it evened itself out pretty quickly over time. Keep in mind that your body wants to be even, like relatively even. It doesn't want to have major imbalances. It will address them. Same thing as, like while you're hurt, if you train the non operative or non hurt side, it'll actually preserve tissue on the operative side. That's a very, very, very tried, tested, true thing. People have researched it with like knee surgeries, training the other non-operative leg. Like I said, shoulders, like whole 9 yards. So there's a lot you can do to mitigate it while you're down, and then once you're not down anymore, just take it easy. I know that's like counterintuitive to being Billy Badass in the gym, but like I said, you can turn something that is going to be a 3 month thing into a 6 month thing, or something that would have been a 6 month thing into a year long thing, and something that would have only had to been paid for once into having something you paid for twice. I know a lot of people that have ripped sutures out, ripped anchors out, retorn things because they weren't patient enough with things. So be patient when you're hurt. All right, couple more, then we'll call this one. Um, Favorite rest day activities. Current favorite rest day activities would definitely be going to the shooting range. Still really enjoying doing that. Was doing that all last year during prep, and got a lot of requests to take y'all out there. So I'll do a video on that sometime soon, taking y'all shooting. Other thing that I really enjoy is just doing stuff with my dogs and my daughter. We've been going to this really cool creek by us a lot lately. Just anything we can do to like get outside and just enjoy each other. Um, that's what I like to do in my free time. I don't have a ton of it these days, between training and traveling and my other commitments. So whenever we do have it, we like to make it count. All right, one more. Let's end on a good one. Here's a good one. Do you have bad protein farts? Not anymore. Very happy to say that I have really gotten my digestion on point, and I have minimal gas, minimal bloating, very regular bowel movements. Just business is booming. Business is wonderful. So on that note, guys, if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe. As always, I beg of you to please keep an eye out for these prompts on my Instagram, because I can actually do more Q&As if we get a lot of questions. So I will see y'all next time. Appreciate y'all for checking in.